Captain Heath Whitehall, Company D, 2nd United States Sharpshooters. Today's video we're going to be talking about the different eras of the sharpshooter uniforms from early war to mid and late war, along with where to get some of the uniform pieces from, at least the very accurate ones. So to start with Private Turnin, this is how the sharpshooters, the ideal sharpshooter would have looked throughout the war. However, that was not much the case, as can be seen over here. So starting with the sharpshooters uniform during the early part of the war, they had a dark green frock coat with light green piping, trousers, and cap. They also had knee-high pig or goatskin leather leggings. These were to keep the bottom of the trousers from being ripped and torn going through bushes, and also protect them from snake bites and the like. They also had a calfskin knapsack made by Tiffany & Company, and these fit the back fairly well. They had large, wide shoulder straps that would clip onto the belt, as can be seen right here. And the blanket or overcoat strapped to the top. And on the back side, as seen in our knapsack video, there's the mess kit. This uniform only lasted for the very first maybe year into the war, until they were going on campaign, coats were wearing out, knapsacks were being dropped in battle, like at Chancellorsville, and this ideal image actually switched to what was more commonly seen on the march as early as 1862 and very common in 63, 64, which was the dark green trousers, the blue Federal issue fatigue blouse, and a green forage cap. However, when most of these were lost, the double bag knapsack that was issued to almost every single Union soldier in the Army of the Potomac was being worn by the sharpshooters. They had to carry their personal belongings, spare clothing somehow, and this was the most efficient way to do so. They did also wear blanket rolls and the like. But other than that, everything was still fairly common. They still wore brogans. Granted, later war they did throw away their leggings, so those were a thing of the past very quickly into the war. But they still carried a canteen, a haversack, their accoutrements, so the belt, cap box, cartridge box, and of course the bayonet scabbard with the bayonet for the 1859 Sharps after they had to buy them back. As for underclothes like shirts, they were given federal issue shirts, contract issue shirts, along with civilian shirts. Later on in the war, very late 64, early into 65, they basically whatever they could get their hands on. The Army of the Potomac was on campaign quite often by that point, especially under Grant. They were constantly on movement, battle after battle, and clothing quickly wore out or shot to pieces, so they wore a multitude of civilian wear, from caps to coats, trousers, boots, everything like that. They looked more civilian than they did military. The only way that really they stood out was their Sharps rifle, and if they could, their green forage cap. And getting into where and what our uniform pieces are made of, majority of us now in Company D actually have obtained Hainsworth wool, which is the most correct version of green that we could get to represent a sharpshooter's uniform, both the frock, cap, and trousers. Private Turnin is wearing a custom-dyed Hainsworth frock coat, their run-of-the-mill rifle green trousers, and the cap is also of the same custom-dyed green of Hainsworth. Hainsworth is in England, so we had to kind of pay the shipping to get it over here, and it is fairly pricey for someone just going in buying, enough for a frock and trousers for 5 meters, since it is in England. Be expecting to pay upwards of close to $300 at this point. However, it is very well worth it. It is great material to have. And then once you get your material, unless you're fantastic at sewing and can sew a frock coat, there is a great deal of people that do a quality job of custom sewing. Kyle Windhall, Brian White from Wamba White & Company, Kelly Ford, and Quartermaster Shop, who's done a few of our uniforms. You know, a lot of people out there say, you know, well, they make costumes, not uniforms. Well, yes, we are wearing uniforms, but, you know, we're not actually in the Civil War, so these technically are costumes in a way. But they do a great job. For the Forge Cap, there's, again, great people. Russell Osmiansky, he's done several of our caps, and he can be found on YouTube at Caps and Keppies. And you know, there's a lot of other great leather workers. LD Hanning does great leather work. American Civil War Knapsacks does a great job of reproducing the Sharpshooter knapsacks. And then with the late war, majority of us in Company D do wear fatigue blouses. The best fatigue blouse for the money and everything that you can get is from Wamba White and Company. Sharpshooters were issued the Schuylkill Arsenal fatigue blouse, and that is the ones that we get. We do the kits, which are roughly about $130. I personally sew for members in Company D for free. So they'll buy the kit for $130. You know, they either get it shipped to them or they ship it to me, and I sew it for them for free, hopefully by the next event, so they can have a really nice period correct fatigue blouse. Private Severson is wearing Milk Creek Sutlery trousers. Milk Creek is probably your best bet for entry-level sharpshooter uniform for your impression. The trousers were about how much? About 100, thereabouts. So $70 to 100, just depending on size. If you have rank trim, and they're a fairly decent green color. Trousers from, like, say, Quartermaster Shop or Wamba White and Company is going to run you anywhere from $120 upwards of $250, just depending, again, on how fancy you want to get with the trousers, you know, hand sewn versus machine sewn, things like that. Again, you know, LD Hanning belts, straps, everything like this. The knapsack, proper federal issue knapsacks are fairly hard to come by from makers. Nick Cicalo is doing a great job, however, he's been out of stock for them for several years now. But LD Hanning does a great job, as does Missouri Boot and Shoe. Missouri Boot and Shoe, I will be doing this in a different video on footwear. I cannot praise them enough. They're custom-made footwear, and you know, I can go on for a whole nother video just about footwear for the sharpshooters alone. Sadly, the leggings right now, there's no one really making a proper reproduction of them. However, Brian White from Wamba White and Company is currently working on a pattern and should be sending me patterns to be reproducing them for Company D. Because the proper ones have 5 buckles up the side with a 6th going underneath the boot and securing it to the leg. Most reproductions now for the sharpshooters have anywhere from 7 as many as 13 buckles just up the side, not counting the one underneath. People kind of took the personal liberty reading sharpshooter letters saying they called them 3-day leggings. You know, 1 day to put them on, 1 day to wear them, 1 day to take them off, so they imagined there was just a ton of buckles on them, when really, from original photographs, that's not the case. The other, you both have what's called the Sharpshooters or Sharps rifle cartridge box. As you can tell, none of them have the cross strap with the eagle on it. The Sharps rifles were issued with these special cartridge boxes, and later on in the war, as these wore out, again, the sharpshooters did wear the standard 1861 Springfield cartridge boxes with the cross strap. They just removed the buckle. That's all I have to really cover for the sharpshooter uniforms, at least the ones that we have present with us right now. If you like the video, please give it a like. There's a little bell notification, so if you have subscribed, make sure that you keep up to date on our videos, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.